This isn't good conversation. we can cut this.
No, it's not.
Okay, folks. If you know what patina is, comment below.
That's gotta go. That's actually not patina. It's too much.
Honestly, fuck, that's good. Do we feel good about that closing, or?
The closing you just did? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I completely agree.
It was totally weird.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back again? Hi, yeah. Do you have? Actually, I want to say two things before we start. We're just grateful at the outpouring of support and engagement around the white women that we trust. We had some great suggestions, some great candidates. Dolly Parton, I thought that one that really checks out. That makes a lot of sense. I don't know how I could have missed her. Also,
Dolly's super trustworthy.
Pamela Anderson was a really good one.
I
really supported that.
Yeah, I would.
That one came in privately.
I would say Pam Andy is definitely trustworthy. Jane Fonda was also mentioned, and I think she is also very trustworthy.
Of course.
There were, I actually had some white women reach out to me personally, and we had some tough conversations. And you know who you are.
I also wanted to just make a quick note that I have had feedback about the Am I a Bitch segment. Okay. People have come forward and they stand with me. Let's just say. They didn't, I won't go so far as to say they said I wasn't a bitch, but they stand with me on the issue. And that's meant a lot. You know who you are.
On the Am I a Bitch segment, first of all, did you listen to the final product of the last episode? Be honest.
No.
I'm actually really happy you did because I was trying my hand at some sound effects.
Are you serious?
And I was like, Grace is going to hate this / think it's so funny. And I wasn't sure where it was going to go. But I was like, I'm having too much fun. I felt like it was 2008 and I was like starting a YouTube channel for the first time.
Nice.
I had a rewind in there. I had applause.
A rewind. I love an applause.
Yeah.
I'm all about an applause.
Where you specifically asked me to.
Yeah. Okay.
I also was a bit cheeky and this pissed off some of the listeners, which I completely understand. They take full responsibility. I left in like you telling me about what that guy did, but just like censored it, like beeped it.
Oh,
like,
tell me you're
not the
bad.
whole clip, but for like 10 seconds.
You are bad.
I was having so much fun. So if you like the sound effects, comment
please,
below.
please let us know.
If you want us to be a sound effects pod.
I actually did have someone give that as a piece of feedback. Like, could you add sound effects?
Actually?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I was like, great, heard. And clearly you were already on it.
I believe it was freesounds.com.
I was wondering where you got those from. Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, that's great news.
But, okay, this is really important. This kind of ties into my local gossip on the people standing for you as not being a bitch. I think a really important piece of local gossip to talk about today is that your gifter spoke out.
Oh, yes.
And actually broke their silence.
Yes.
And I think this is actually very important to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about an apology.
I'm actually considering, I think I'm just going to play it because we shared it to our stories, but folks might not have heard it. And so, folks, you are hearing directly from Grace's gifter from
I hope he agrees to be on the podcast.
Well, he shared it and on Instagram and like tagged us.
Yeah.
And we shared it on our Instagram.
I'll get him to sign a consent.
Yeah. Please do. Okay, so folks, this is the statement made from the gifter regarding last week's episode.
Hi everyone, Luke here. I wanted to jump on here and do a little endorsement for my lovely girlfriend's podcast, How to Survive a Scandal. In this week's episode, there was a topic of conversation about gift giving. And I was the gift giver in this scenario, and I didn't really do a great job in giving this gift.
Powerful.
I won't spoil it, but I'll let you listen to the episode after this to get the full story. But I just want to do a little PSA to all my fellow gift givers out there. If your loved one has laid out specific requirements or guidelines around the type of the gift that you want to give them, adhere to those guidelines. It shows a lot of love. And if you end up having to show up empty-handed, set aside your ego. If you don't find the right thing, show up empty-handed and wait until the next opportunity you get to get the gift that they actually asked for. See you next time.
It's beautiful.
No, I actually thought it was an absolutely beautiful message. What really struck a chord with me
I know what
was
it
the
is.
note about showing up empty-handed and saying if you have to show up empty-handed, show up empty-handed, like, and put your ego aside. And I was like, that is actually such a good note for gifts. And specifically, I am going through that right now with like speeches. And I'm going to a bachelorette this weekend. Very excited.
Jealous.
And we're all doing like these toasts. And we're like, okay, so cute, so fun. We're all going to do these toasts and just like little toasts for the bride. And immediately I was like, how do I make it this thing?
Exceptional.
And how do I make it exceptional? And how do I make it this performance that ultimately reflects positively on me? And like, I was like, this has nothing to do with making someone feel good or just telling them how you feel about them, and how at the end of the day, like, yes, we all can appreciate like a beautiful piece of poetry or something that just like resonates really well. And yeah, if it was written for us, that does feel special. But ultimately, that way of thinking shows that like my mindset is just squarely on myself and how I come across and like getting the job done for me.
Yeah.
And so actually that message of just like put your ego aside, and if you need to show up empty-handed, to me, that is the equivalent of just showing up and saying something nice about the person.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be this whole performance where people walk away being like, wow,
Yeah.
you're a really talented writer and speaker.
That was so memorable.
Yeah, it could be memorable to absolutely no one but the person that you're talking to.
Right.
So I just want to thank you, Luke, for that message.
Yeah, shout out Luke for that. And that's just, it was an amazing example of an apology post gift giving scandal. I do feel like, to your point, that's the thing that like makes me react weird to that kind of stuff, is I'm like, okay, did you do this for you or did you do this for me? You know what I mean? So what you're saying about the speech, I think, yes, ties in very well. It's true. He's going to love this. He's going to love this.
And Luke, I was really moved. And so we thank you.
We were all moved, Luke. Bless you.
Do you have any local gossip?
I don't have gossip, but I almost had gossip. I was walking down the street. I was walking the dog, and I walked by these two girls, and one of them was like, so like, and kind of like paused, and the other girl was like, oh my God. And she was like, yeah, implying that he cheated. And I was like, standing around being like, and did he fucking cheat or what? Like, I just was dying to know more, huh?
Did you linger? I would have absolutely
It would have been
changed
so
course and
awkward
just
because they were like walking past really fast, and I was like, oh, York, let's just slow down so I can listen in. But that's all I caught.
Wow.
So that's tough on me, but hopefully those girls write in and give us the end of that story.
Have you watched this week's episode of Summer House?
Oh, yes, I have. Have you?
Yeah, I watched it today, and that 100% confirmed to me the question of, are we post editing? Like, or is production
Yes.
that 100% confirmed.
So
it for me. I
actually,
wasn't sure
Andy
before.
Cohen
did he?
said,
Okay.
yeah, they do it. They're doing it now. I think with most shows, they have that sort of freedom to, as it's airing. Like,
Sure.
I don't think the shows are like completely wrapped and done and packaged so long in advance. I think they kind of stay current if they can.
Yeah, that episode felt crazy to watch. It felt, to me, that actually felt like the craziest episode to watch post this information from any of the other episodes.
And Andy said that too. Like, he, on Monday or whatever day it was, he was like, tomorrow's episode of Summer House, watch it with one eye open. He was like, it is bad.
It was
and like,
really
it was
bad to me.
really bad.
It
Like,
was
I would
so
say it was
much-
like, it was really bad. I do want to say to those of you who have reached out and said that you don't watch Summer House, but you might after this, I really want to encourage you to dive in.
Where should they
if
start?
you have, it's a great question. A lot of people are like, where should we start? If you have questions about like the specific route you should take getting in, I honestly, there was a point in my life a couple years ago where I said I wanted to create a course, like a Bravo course. I specifically wanted to do like a Real Housewives one of like, which franchise should you start with? What season? So this is sort of my special interest. I would say that where people should start depends on the person. I'm a person who really just likes to start from the beginning. I like to know all the context. I like to know all the lore. So my first recommendation is going to be start from the beginning. But if you're not interested in that, the seasons with the Workus twins, you can go ahead and skip those. Those are like the first two, I think, seasons. So you could start at season 3. But what I would say is just reach out to me personally. Okay, let's have a conversation that is tailored to your specific needs and your specific interests, that would be my recommendation. Okay, but since you brought up Summer House, I want to talk about Lena Dunham.
Oh my God, I'm so happy she's back.
Okay, and I knew you
Lena's
would
back,
be.
hallelujah.
I knew you would be. So
You don't
Lena
like
Dunham,
her?
sorry?
You don't like her?
Oh,
I love her. She's so funny.
I know you do. She is a very controversial figure. Very controversial. And she's had quite a number of scandals in her day. Let's talk about Miss Dunham for a minute, because I don't know how much you are like up to speed on all the scandals and controversies surrounding her.
I don't think I am. Like, I feel like when I think Lena and controversy, I just think about people freaking out at her when she was 24 and being like, why is this weird body naked on my TV? And
Okay,
that's
okay.
all I think of
Okay.
when I think about her. So I don't really know any actual controversy around her.
Okay.
I just know people hated her.
Okay. So, like, I would say I wasn't, like, in the know about all the controversies, but there were a couple that I remember in real time, and I remember being like, ooh. She's kind of the poster child for, like, the white liberal. Like, everyone is very much, yeah, she's complicated. So I don't want to like dive too much into it, but I want to say a couple things about her and her scandals and her controversies. One, I will say, I do think that she's very problematic. I do think she's like a problematic woman. I think she's definitely giving peak white feminism. I think she's giving peak white narcissism, which is like, I don't know if you're hearing this term going around. This white narcissism term. Yeah, let's get into it.
What white narcissism is.
Yeah, so white narcissism is,
I gotta say, these like fucking a la carte choose your own adventure terms.
you're hilarious. You're like, oh, these acronyms, I can't keep up.
No.
I mean, these fucking snowflakes.
I'm just like when people are just like, and have you ever heard of unique conceptualism,
Whiteness.
manipulation? And I'm like, I'm sure I have.
Yeah, you're
Whatever.
like, I'm sure I just called it something else.
That's what I-
So white narcissism is the term that people are saying more aptly describes white supremacy and also like white fragility. Actually, the white fragility part is me. That's my thinking on it, although I'm sure it's been said. Just like the criticism, obviously, of white fragility is that it's like, you're not actually fragile. Like, let's be so real. And then there's also more of a criticism around white supremacy where it's like, let's call it what it actually is. Like, when someone's boyfriend is a narcissist, it's like almost, it's not like, look at that big, powerful man. It's like, oh, look at that like baby who never grew up, who's a narcissist. Like, it's a term that sort of reflects a kind of delusion and kind of like, okay, like we're all rolling our eyes at you sort of thing. So I think that that's why people think it describes a lot of the white supremacy, a lot of the way white supremacy shows up.
Okay.
You look like you have questions.
I have questions. I don't love it, but that's neither here nor there.
It's everywhere.
Because do you understand what I was saying?
Yeah.
The fact that I don't like it is neither here
Yes.
nor there.
And I'm saying it's everywhere. Please. This is what we're here to talk about.
Very good. I thought you were saying like white narcissism is everywhere. I was like, you've misunderstood me.
You're like, white narcissism is neither here nor there, so we don't
And
need
you
to
were like, no,
discuss it.
wake up. It's all around us.
Look around, bitch. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I appreciate like adapting language to better represent how something shows up, especially when the original term feels really big and maybe out of touch for today.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I actually think hanging on to the original term is important, even though, yes, it feels really far removed from the actions that people are trying to call out.
Yeah.
But it also, it leaves room for kind of understanding the fact that this is part of this larger system.
Yeah.
And, it would be like throwing out the term fat phobia and trading it in for like a social media induced body dysmorphic mentality.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is
Yep.
like, no, for sure.
It
And
almost
like,
feels like a softening of it in a way.
yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
like, let's talk about the big picture and talk about, yes, that this activity, that this behavior, yes, it is certainly separate from what we might have understood the origins of white supremacy to be, but it is big, and it is part of something bigger.
Yeah, and I actually don't think, now that I'm thinking about it, like, I did see someone in particular talking about it as, like, it's a better way of describing white supremacy. I think this might have been what they meant, or just sort of my own spin on it. I think it's a better way of describing a lot of manifestations of white supremacy. I don't think we should stray away from the term white supremacy. I think it is important, and I think it's important to link certain softer language behavior to white supremacy and say it's all a part of it. But I do think, like, for example, Amanda Batula and a lot of her behavior, there is a lot of, like, anti-blackness, which in a way, like, her behavior is a part of white supremacy, but I think a better language for the way she behaves is white narcissism. Right. The way she, like, cries on a dime, the way she centers herself and doesn't understand this bigger conversation and this narrative that's happening, and, like, refuses to see how it plays into her just, like, having fun and liking a guy. You know what I mean? Like, so I agree with what you're saying. I don't think it should replace the term, but I do think it can better describe certain manifestations of white supremacy.
I think that's fair, because even when you think about white supremacy, it feels like you're either describing the way something is or someone's belief about the way things should be. Whereas then I feel like if you look at somebody's actions, somebody like Amanda's actions, probably a better way to connect to what's happening is, like, your perception of the world and your place in it. Yeah. Based on a variety of factors that you have not examined.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this brings us nicely back to Lena Dunham, because I think a lot of the criticism she has received is around her white narcissism. It's the way that she doesn't, she was really heavily criticized for, like, how white of a show Girls was, which is, like, whatever. She was 24. It was very clear that she wasn't exposed to a lot of, like, non-white people in, like, intimate relationships, or even, like, it was very clear how white she was. And I think that is fine when you're criticizing a piece of media or a piece of entertainment. I think in that context, I'm like, her crime was being a white woman, like a white 24-year-old who grew up in New York and whatever. So there's a lot of, like, privilege around that, and just, like, whatever. I kind of always felt like it was what it was. But I do think that, like, since then, and just sort of as a reflection of that, she's done a lot of things, said a lot of things publicly where people are like, oh my God, like, pay attention. She went to this event. Was it the Met Gala or something? I don't know. She went to this event with Odell Beckham Jr. Is that a person? Yeah. Odell Beckham Jr.? Okay.
Yeah, that's your boyfriend's brother.
Yes, I know. He's
Didn't you love him?
Cordell?
Yeah.
I don't think their names are Cordell and Odell. I need to fact check this. This doesn't sound right. But Odell, is it Beckham?
It is Beckham.
That's in their name? Okay.
I think so.
But yes, Cordell, I have zero feelings towards Cordell. That man is not my boyfriend. Cute. I love him and Serena. Like, I'm like, they're adorable.
Oh my God, he's only 23 years old.
Cordell?
Jesus. Yeah.
Cordell's a baby, yeah. But Odell is
his name.
Beckham Jr.?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, she went to an event with him, and she did, like, a podcast or an interview or something after where she was just like, because she was, like, wearing this suit. Like, she looked very adorable. She was like, I went there. He wouldn't look at me. He wouldn't talk to me. He was on his phone the whole time. He like, looked at me and was basically like, can I fuck it? No. It's in a suit. I don't want to talk to it. Like, she did this, like, she really kind of dove in. And people were kind of like, and a lot of Black Twitter was just like, get the fuck out of here. Like, who are you? And it's, again, it was very, like, it's giving very narcissistic. Like, maybe him looking at his phone had nothing to do with whether he wanted to fuck you. Maybe he just doesn't fuck with you. Like, maybe he's just not interested in, like, what she has to offer, which is very much like, I'm just a girl. Like, that's her whole energy. And that was kind of her whole platform in a lot of different ways. She also had a, like, scandal with this, like, dog, I guess, that she adopted and had for 4 years and then returned to the shelter because apparently it was aggressive, and the shelter was, she said, like, he had a bad passed or whatever. And the shelter was like, there's no way she would have known that. Whatever. That's complicated. I don't really want to get into that, but I think the Odell thing is a problem. And listening to that trajectory, it's just very clear to me that she's just ignorant. Like she's just kind of, again, it's the narcissism of it all.
To me, that represents an inability to interpret a situation through any other lens.
Yeah.
And also the ignorance around like not understanding that I might want to interpret this through a different lens before I go
use
out
my
there. Platform to talk about this.
And she was guilty of doing that a lot. Like this is the thing about her. She talks, or she used to talk a lot and just say those things that like people would be like, oh my God. So she did like make a video being like, oh my God, I realize I'm sort of like contributing to this long history of like, first of all, people had a problem with the way she like sexualized him in the conversation, because it was very much like, if I don't want to fuck it, like I'm not interested. Like it was just a lot of language that was like, okay, generally I get maybe why you're saying that, but like pay attention to the context and like whatever. So she apologized about that. There was a lot of situations similar to that that she's spoken on. She once like said publicly like, I've never had an abortion, but I wish I had. And then people were like, what? And it was just a lot of things where she was saying a lot of things that had weight and gravity that she was just like, she would just say all the time. And then she'd come back and be like, I'm so sorry. And like constantly apologizing.
She's also like a comedian. That's kind of what comedians do.
Yes.
Like
yes. Yeah. I agree. I just think, I don't think her behavior is like, makes her a monster. Yeah. I think that it makes her what she is, which I just think like, she is ignorant.
And I'm not here being like a Lena apologist in terms of like who she is as a person. But I just think like when you're someone who is out there and you were talking a lot when there was a season that she was, you're going to say like so much dumb shit. Like you just are. And I think, you're right. Like she is like probably super ignorant, and there's like, a bunch of things. I think ultimately where I'm kind of like, I'll protect Lena is where I'm just like, at the end of the day, I want to protect Lena's voice. I think she has a lot of really interesting things to say, and that like I really respect her, and I really like and appreciate her voice. And I also think that like she has just gotten a lot, like taken a lot of shit and taken a lot of heat that she just didn't deserve. But no, I'm certainly not like, I wouldn't put her on the white woman I trust list.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But I really enjoy hearing from her.
Yeah, that's clear. But no, I in some ways I agree with you. I will say one of her bigger scandals was when, I think this is like 2018, one of the writers on her show Girls was accused of sexually assaulting someone. The person who came forward was 17 at the time. And came forward and basically said this happened, whatever. And Lena and like her co-writer or co-creator of the show put out a statement being like, absolutely not. And they said, and I remember reading this at the time and being like, that is not it. They said, our insider knowledge of the situation makes us confident that sadly, this accusation is one of the 3% of assault cases that are misreported every year. Which I was like, ooh, you cannot say shit like that.
That is a tricky tone to take.
It's a very problematic tone to take. What I will say is she came out, I can't remember when, later and apologized.
Lena did.
Which I will say she does a lot of apologies. So she's a good example of someone to look at like a post-scandal apology. And since we've talked about these and like some good ones, I will say because she's a good writer and because I think she's intelligent and I do think she is good at like accessing her truth and a truth that resonates with a lot of people. Like I think on paper and maybe in reality, she apologizes really well. And part of her apology was... so remember how she said our insider knowledge? Like she said she had insider knowledge. She basically was like, came out and was like, I didn't have insider knowledge. The insider knowledge I had was that like how she knew him. And she said, when someone I knew, someone I had loved as a brother was accused, I did something inexcusable. I publicly spoke up in his defense. She said, there are few acts I could ever regret more in this life. I didn't have the insider information I claimed, but rather blind faith in a story that kept slipping and changing and revealed itself to mean nothing at all. She added, it's painful to realize that while I thought I was self-aware, I had actually internalized the dominant male agenda that asks us to defend it no matter what, protect it no matter what, baby it no matter what. And then also said it was absolutely the wrong time to come forward with such a statement, which I was like,
Grace.
no,
Come on.
that's what I'm saying.
Beautiful. I'm crying.
Of course.
And nobody actually does that. Nobody.
I agree.
Like, people say, like, I fucked up. I'm listening. I'm learning. Like, she's literally like, I lied. I played into the exact thing that, like, is the problem.
Yep.
And to say, like, obviously, anyone can say, I regret something. But, like, yeah. I
think as far as apologies go, it's a really good apology that really, I mean, like, yes, there's a whole podcast episode on what happened in itself, but the apology itself, I think, is really well written and sounds really reflective and sounds like also demonstrates like an understanding of the situation.
To me, the biggest win of this is not the writing, though it's great, but like it is very clear that that there's been some like reflection and real wrestling with what went down.
Yeah, and I think that to sum up my feelings about her, I think what bothers me about her is that she feels to me in some ways as like she has very sort of flippantly almost participated in a lot of just like problematic behavior.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty consistent in a lot of the things that she has said and done. It feels very flippant and very ignorant. And I think that her apologies seem well-meaning and she seems to like hit all the points, which I appreciate. I think I will say that like I do believe she accesses her truth in a way that is very compelling. She writes very well. I also think that you cannot take away from the equation that she is a woman who has her body and her size has been criticized and scrutinized in such a particular way. And I don't think you could take that away from the criticism of her. Mm-hmm. I think she occupies a very sort of like important space for women that people did not like, and people didn't even realize that they were playing into a narrative by sort of picking apart her behavior. And so all that to say, like, I'm like, Lena Dunham personally does not, for me, she doesn't do it for me. She doesn't have my allegiance. I think that the way she has shown herself to be, I'm not interested in giving her my sort of allegiance and my attention in that way. Yeah. But I do think that anyone who's sort of like summarizes her in a simplistic way is not really being honest with how complex of a person I think she is in our sort of millennial zeitgeist.
I mean, I certainly never said I thought the space she operated out of was simple.
No, I was actually referring to people summarizing her in a negative way.
Oh, summarizing her.
Yeah, so that's an example of narcissism.
Now, is it white narcissism or?
For you, that was just narcissism.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so in summary, Lena's back, and we're thrilled.
I do want to dovetail really quickly into something she said.
You have so many things.
I know, I have a lot of things. Do you have stuff you want to talk about?
Of course, always, but fine, you take it away.
I have tons, and I don't think we're going to get to.
Oh my God.
This. I actually had a
We can't talk anymore about Lena then.
The one thing I was going to say is she commented on West and Amanda, and she was like talking about all the people who could like play their characters and whatever. Anyway, she made a comment that I thought was really interesting because she said, if they want to like be together and like get married and have kids, or she's like, or maybe they don't want to have kids, maybe they want dogs, like whatever, then I hope that's what this is. And I hope it's worth it. But otherwise, yikes, kind of thing. And Andy was like, yeah, I thought it was kind of crazy that they, the public statement is them being like, we're going to give this a shot. That's what's so crazy. Everyone was thinking they were going to be like, sorry, we fucked, whatever, oops. But no, it was, we're giving this a shot. And it just made me think that like, it's so interesting that the concept of like, we're giving this a shot can't mean we're just enjoying being with each other right now. We're not really ready to give that up. And so we're here right now in this moment. Like, there's no option or language for that. It's either like giving this a shot means they have to be together long term.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just found that interesting that there's no, and everywhere I've heard the criticism of like, of Amanda and West, it's always this conversation of like, do you think he's going to commit to you and marry you and be with you? Like, do you, like, whatever. And I'm like, but what if she just wants to be with him right now? Like, isn't that an option? You know, not that I'm defending West or Amanda, but just the conversation.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I mean, everyone experiences past relationships differently, but I feel like the way a lot of people do relationships is like, once it's over, I don't know how much they kind of look back and think, I'm really glad that happened, which...
Interesting.
Yeah, which I don't necessarily, that's not necessarily my experience, but I feel like for a lot of people that is often the experience. And so I do feel like there's this sentiment around, especially when it's someone that's your friend. Like, it's not like there's this person that you're like, I want this person in my life. This person wasn't in my life and I want them to be in my life. Like, when it's somebody who is already in your life, someone that you already have access to and can spend time with, but you're making the choice to be like, no, I want our relationship to look like this, or I want us to experience it in this type of way. I feel like there's this general consensus that when this is all over, you're going to look back and be like, okay, it was just another one. It was just another thing. Right. Whereas if it doesn't end, then at least it's something that has made your life better. Again, I don't necessarily ascribe to that, but I feel like that is where that's like the sentiment that a lot of people are holding around this.
No, I agree. I just think it's a shame because, like, even if you're not looking back and thinking, like, I'm so glad that happened, is there room in relationships to be like, yeah, that's what I wanted then, so it was worth something to me? You know what I mean?
For sure. And I think that is where the cost benefit comes for people. Like, they're like, okay, you wanted that more than you wanted a friendship with this person.
And I guess that's what I'm saying. Is there no room to imagine that is what they're saying? They're saying we actually want to be together and traipse around town and be seen and have this be out. That is worth it to us. So that's why we're saying this, not because we want to get married.
I think there's room for understanding that might be what they're saying, but I think there's no respect for that. There's no respect for that because that is inherently temporary, whereas these other relationships are, have the potential to last a very long time.
Which I think is so insane. Like, I'm like, I respect that in a way more than the idea of like, we're going to get married. Because I'm like, first of all, no, you're not. Second of all, like, why not just see? You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't it be enough that what you're experiencing in this moment, even if it only lasts for 6 more months, is worth it to you? It's giving you that much. You just got out of a long marriage and it's giving you so much life that you're just like, it's
about that
worth
at the reunion.
it.
Maybe we'll hear about, because I think sometimes with things like this, the question is always like, is this worth it? Is this worth it? And sometimes the act of saying fuck it is worth everything. And it's it's not about the person, it's not about it, but it's just giving yourself permission to do the thing, however reckless it may be that you want to do. So I don't know, I could see that showing up at the reunion a little bit, in terms of Amanda being like, I've always felt very restricted in living this box, and I gave myself permission, and I hate that I hurt so many people, but that act was so freeing.
And let me just be very clear. If it is worth it to you, I sort of acknowledge that as your truth. I think if it is worth it to you, then you were never a friend to Sierra, because it's insane that would be worth it to you. I don't care what it is. To me, it just that doesn't make sense. That would be worth it to you over your friendship with someone who you like deeply love. That doesn't add up. I'm like, no, you don't. But I just have found it interesting that like there's been no concept of that in conversations around what it means for them to be giving it a shot.
Can you, did you watch the clip of them at the game?
Yeah.
And do you think that she said, act like you like me? And what do you think is going on with them? Like, did you also see her like, he was like cheering and she was like, sit down?
Yeah. Yeah, it just gives me the ick. All of it, I'm just like, I feel depressed. I think it was like fun and sexy for them in the beginning. Now I'm like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way they're having like the time of their lives.
Yeah,
I mean, also him on his podcast. Did
my
you
God.
see?
Yeah.
There's this, I'm going to send you this like meme, and it's just like a freeze frame of his face in just the most West, like, way. And it's all like, if I send you this, I don't want to take responsibility for my actions, but I'm going to make you feel sorry for me before I have to even like address the issue. Okay, enough about them. I want to do like a little, I'm going to do true, false, twisted stuff about you. And the reason I wanted to do this is because today I really wanted to talk about rumors. Because I think rumors,
Awesome.
rumors and nastiness, if you don't know what that means, I feel sorry for you.
I know.
If you know, you know. I think rumors are an interesting part of like scandal because scandals can be sort of rumor.
Yeah.
I also think Lena Dunham is kind of on subject because a lot of stuff goes around about people and you're like, I don't know what's true.
Yeah.
And sometimes a
I
scandal.
remember I'm supposed to hate them, but I actually don't
Yeah,
remember
I don't
why.
know why. And I kind of felt that with her for a while. Anyways, have you ever had a rumor started about you?
Wait, is this true, false, twisted?
No, I'm just asking as a side. We're getting into that, but I just want to ask.
I don't think I've ever had an explicit rumor started about me, but I have had false prophets spread misinformation about me.
What kind of information?
They were like takes about me.
Oh, okay. So just like she's this way because of this, or like
I guess
whatever.
it's not a rumor. I guess it's just like gossip.
Yeah, it's just like
Which is
someone's
fine.
opinion, I guess. I one time had a rumor started about
Really?
me.
What was it?
Wasn't. I guess it wasn't like a rumor because it wasn't like spreading all over town. But somebody once. How do I describe this? Okay, there's 3 parties. Yeah, there's 4 parties. Sorry. There's Alex. There's Sam. There's Tony.
Okay.
What? There's Tony and there's Bob. Okay? Alex, Sam, Tony, and Bob.
Okay.
Sam,
I don't think one of the characters should be Tony.
that's what came to my mind. And did it confuse me? Absolutely, but it's here to stay. Alex and Tony are dating. Okay? Sam and Bob are in the mix in some way. Okay? Sam and Bob are talking about Alex and Tony, and they're like, ugh, I don't know. Like, I just, the vibes, I don't know. They have questions, they have concerns. So Sam comes to me, and they're like, hey, we have questions about Alex and Tony, and I think you know Alex and or Tony. Can you give us a little bit of, like, context? And I was like, what do you want to know? So Sam asks me some questions, whatever. Fine, the conversation is what it is, it ends. And then I get a call from Alex.
Nice.
And Alex says to me, I heard you told Bob that, like, you got issues with me.
Yeah.
You've got beef with me. And I hope everyone's following because I lost
It's hard
who,
to.
who
But yes,
everybody is.
this has happened to me as well.
Oh, it has?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you deal with it?
This
Sounds like you don't really want to talk much about what happened to me.
No, please continue.
Yeah, it was
just-
just
I can
shocking.
relate.
You can relate. Okay. I was just shocked because I was like, first of all, I don't know nothing about Bob. I had a conversation with Sam, okay? Sam and I had a conversation, and then you're telling me that I told Bob something I never told Bob. Bob and I never spoke. I've not spoken to Bob. So that was upsetting. But it also was like a tricky situation because it was like, this is not based on nothing. And it's not, I certainly didn't go to Bob and say, like, I've got beef with Alex. But Sam asked me direct questions that I answered.
Right.
Which Sam probably obviously told Bob.
Yeah,
and then
Sam's a
Bob
snake.
used me. Sam's a snake.
Yeah.
And then Bob used me to be like, by the way, Grace told me
Yeah.
this. And then now fucking Alex is saying to me, well, I heard you told Bob this. So it was a weird situation to be put in. And basically I was like, I never had a conversation with Bob about nothing. And I did say, I actually did have a conversation with Sam, but I did not have a conversation with Bob. And then we left it at that. But it just felt like a bit of a rumor. It felt like I got dragged through the mud. I thought, Bob, why would you lie on me? So it was a tough spot.
That's so crazy. And you can actually try your hand at some sound effects. So keep this in, just bleep it out. Are Bob, Tony, Alex, and Sam
No. Oh.
This is what I thought
Yeah.
this was.
No. It's
Oh, because you were talking to.
mhm.
That happened to me where I was been in a bit of a love triangle, and then it was me and a friend and this person. And the friend was like, oh, I don't like that person. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't really, but like they knew I had historically liked them. So they knew I
When you say like, you mean like?
Yeah, like
or okay.
yeah,
Like not like don't like as a person.
no. I was like, yeah, I'm like over it. I like, don't have a crush on them anymore. But I like still did. And they kind of knew that. We were both, it was obviously we both had a crush on this person, but to each other, we were both kind of like, no. But I certainly had dibs because like we had had a little thing going for like a year and a bit prior to that. So that was, I certainly like had dibs. And this was my friend. And I introduced my friend to this person. And then my friend went to this person and was like, after telling me like I'm not into this person at all, went to this person and was like, okay, I would like you, but Tommy said XYZ and all this shit that I never said. And
That's dark.
honestly, it basically ended up
Cola Road. It's good. It's super interesting. Like I think rumors. Have you ever had a rumor started about you that wasn't true that you let happen because you're like,
Ooh, sometimes yes. Yeah, I actually had I was going to say sometimes I like plant rumors. This one wasn't one I planted, but a rumor did spread around me and I was watching the story get more and more out of control, but I was finding it really funny because it was inaccurate. The details about it were inaccurate, but it was funny and I didn't care who knew. I didn't care that much if people thought it was true. But it was funny like watching it spread and be like,
What
and
was
by
the
the
rumor?
end somebody came to me with the story about like there was this story about like me hooking up with someone in a parking lot, like in their car or something. By the time it got back to me, I was like, yeah, that didn't happen.
That's funny.
At all. But
could
there
see how
were a
you'd
lot
have
of
some fun with that.
like guesses and then exchange information. Then by the time it circled back, I was like, this is really funny.
I know a rumor about you that actually got back to me, and I was sort of like, I don't think that's true at all, but I can't be sure.
When did it come up? Oh my!
You know what I'm talking about?
God, yes.
That was crazy.
That's
That was some crazy shit.
Crazy because I do
that was a
remember
crazy one.
that.
We'll have to circle back and see if it's possible to tell that one. There's going to be a lot of Alex and Tony's involved, and I just don't know if I can do the logic game of that.
Yeah.
We'll investigate. Okay, I'm going to do a rapid fire true, false, or twisted. Okay?
Okay, and this is I have to say whether it's true, whether it's false.
For you.
Oh, for
about
me.
you. And it's about you.
Okay, fun.
Okay? You like attention.
True and twisted. True, but can be weaponized when in the wrong hands.
Absolutely, but that doesn't make it any less true.
True.
Okay, so you have to pick one answer. You're boy crazy.
False.
You're a high achiever.
Twisted.
You're a people person.
True.
You have appropriately earned the title of villain in somebody else's story.
Twisted.
You're not sentimental.
Twisted.
You are rarely lonely.
True.
You don't want to get married again.
True.
Okay. We've learned a lot of things,
Wow.
folks, and I might have questions, but I'm going to leave it at
Were
that.
any of my answers surprising?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say you're not a people person.
Yeah, I stumbled on that one because when I think about a people person, I think about the outcome and like I think about like the product and sort of the performance of like almost what it does for the people, not what it does for the person. I think about a people person as someone who can
Work people?
work people.
Oh,
or make
interesting. I
not
didn't think of it that
necessarily
way at all.
someone who enjoys people.
Oh, okay. We have definitely
Because
two very
I don't
different.
enjoy people.
Then I would say you're not a
But I
people
can work
person,
them. Oh, okay.
personally. But obviously, your perception of it is different. So, this is why it's rapid fire. Your answer is your answer, and I'll take
powerful.
it.
Before we go, I'm really proud of this. Can I read to you the dares that are crafted for the bachelorette party this weekend? By the time
Absolutely.
this comes out, they would have all been over.
How exciting! Tell us about the trip. Where are you going?
I'm actually so excited. We're going to Cabo. We're going to Mexico.
How
Mexico,
exciting.
hallelujah. So I've planned some games. It's going to be awesome. We're doing like a Jeopardy situation. And then we're also just doing Truth or Dare because it's classic.
Fun.
I made the truths really easy just in case. And then I made the dares a little crazy for the crazy ones in the room. I'm going to read you one of the truths and you can answer it.
Okay.
Fuck, marry, kill Ryan Reynolds, Timothy Chalamet, Jojo Siwa.
I'm gonna unfortunately kill Timothy Chalamet. I'm gonna fuck Ryan Reynolds, and I'm gonna marry Jojo Siwa.
It's a very good choice.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm actually really proud of these dares because I feel like dares are really hard to pre-write. And of course, I put some dealer's choice in here. Okay, dare number 1, let the group draft a DM from you, 1 sentence only. You can edit up to 2 words and then send it to the person. At first I said the person of your choice, but I feel like that's too easy.
That's too easy.
I feel like you have to like make a short list or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or like the group has to pick.
Yeah, I feel like the group should have to pick someone
at
because
least
of the
a few
fact that you
people.
can edit 2 words and it's 1
Just
sentence.
send it to like a very like low level celebrity, like someone
Yeah,
who
maybe
will
I'll edit that
probably
for
see
that.
it.
Okay, another dare. Let the person of your choosing, I'm going to change that to let the person to your left scroll your camera roll for 10 seconds.
Oh,
This is my favorite dare. Update your Facebook status. I think that's so humiliating.
that's good.
Okay, this one, text the last person you talk to the following message, and it has to be in all caps, and then turn off your phone for 20 minutes. So it's in all caps. Be honest, was any of it real, or was I just filling a role in your story? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Oh my god.
The next one is go live on Instagram for the next 10 minutes. I actually love this one. Go to a frenemy / someone you hate follows Instagram and repost their last post. Another one, comment anything
Remember when I
you
accidentally
want.
did that?
Yeah. Comment anything you want on one of your ex's posts. Comment the following on anyone, excluding anyone here, post. And the thing that they have to comment is, okay, but this is actually quite nuanced and you're acting as if it's not.
Oh my gosh, funny.
Close your eyes and scroll through your camera roll for 10 seconds wherever your finger lands. Post that to your stories. I'm allowing close friends on this, but you just can't edit your close friends list.
Yeah.
And then finally, actually, this one's my favorite. Make a LinkedIn post about this bachelorette party.
That's so funny.
Aren't these good? And these are
That's
homies.
really
so folks,
good.
if you want some custom dares made for maybe a bachelorette or maybe a corporate event you're planning.
Tell me it's your gal.
Let me know. I also do truth. I do truth or dare. And then this just in, I think I'm going to do custom spin the bottle. We can talk about that offline.
Imagine you made a living off that. Like, imagine fast forward 5 years and you're like, I never thought that I could be living in a beach house in Cabo off of Truth or Dares. I can see it for you.
Awesome. I can see it too. And here's the thing. People are like, they're like, I could come up with these on ChatGPT, but I'm telling you right now, go ask AI to come up with like fun truth or dares.
Yeah.
They're so stupid.
AI does not get it.
They are so stupid and they don't get it. And anyway. Call me.
Those
if you
are
want
really
truth.
good.
Thank you.
Congrats. I'll give you that.
I would read through you the truths, but they're kind of boring.
Sure, of course. You have to something for everyone. Okay, well, this has been a pleasure, folks.
This has been a treat.
Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Bye.